30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Wednesday in Nashville, Tennessee. There's just one problem. We're in Murfreesboro, and it's equally as beautiful there. In the background, you can see MTSU's football stadium, which right now is undergoing some change that will create big football offices by 2025. This whole media day is the brainchild of their sports information director, Mark Owens. He's going to join us here in a few minutes. But first things first, we're going to say hello to Terry McCormick, who was nice enough to change his schedule to help us. His daily Titans update is brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland and her team at USA Mortgage. She wants to be your mortgage lender. Give her a holler at 615-969-4350. So, Terry, first of all, thank you for all the flexibility. Even if I don't act like I appreciate it, I do.
Did Kelly put you up in a spare bedroom last night so you didn't have to go back to Nashville?
Not a chance in the world. I don't think he would let me anywhere near. Billy, you look like you want to comment on that question.
Well, and once again, Terry, we're in Murfreesboro, but no Kelly.
Well, it's fine. You know,
it's a good opportunity to rip him.
Well, that's true as well. So, Terry, you know the story here. Titans will play their first preseason game Saturday, and I think we're all kind of curious how the quarterback stuff will play out. Speculate for me. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I guess there's a chance you could see Ryan Tannehill for a series or two, only because the Titans are breaking in a new offensive system under Tim Kelly. But I still think that a lot of veterans, and most likely Tannehill and guys like DeAndre Hopkins, are probably not going to play. Derrick Henry. I think what you'll see is a whole lot of Malik Willis in the first half and a whole lot of Will Levis in the second half. That's just my speculation. Mike Vrabel has not given us any indication as to which way he wants to go or which way acting head coach for the game, Terrell Williams, wants to go. But those are things that we'll probably find out when we talk to them on Thursday, George.
Terry, you're out there all the time. Let's speculate. Has Will Levis gone past Malik Willis in your mind?
I think he's getting there. I think he probably is on par with Willis, where Willis is right now, maybe a little ahead. They have not moved him up to be the number 2 quarterback per se. But I think what it is, you see his passing ability, his knowledge from coming from a pro system at Kentucky has given him the advantage of being able to line guys up, know exactly where he wants them, being able to tell them exactly what type of route he wants and where he wants them at what time. Not saying that Malik Willis isn't doing that, but when you come from the spread, take a look here. If it's not open, take a look there. If it's not open, take off. System like he did at Liberty, there's a lot more of a learning curve when you get to the NFL. And I think that's what we saw out of Willis last year. So he is still a work in progress. Whereas Levis comes in having that base of being in a pro system under his belt from his time with the Wildcats. So I think what you see out of Will Levis is a guy who's more polished, even though he's a year behind Malik Willis in terms of NFL experience.
Terry, is your gut feeling if Willis is the third quarterback by the end of training camp, do they intend to keep him on the active roster?
If he shows enough in the preseason, George, I think they almost have to, because if you expose this kid to waivers by putting him on the practice squad, there's a good chance that somebody will claim him. And quite honestly, George, that somebody is probably Monty Ossenford out in Arizona, who had a hand in drafting the kid because he was on the Titans front office staff under John Robinson before getting that Arizona Cardinals job. So, he knows, what he knows Malik Willis, he knows the potential that's there in him. So if they, try to drop this kid on the waiver wire and pass him through to get him to the practice squad in final cuts, I'm pretty confident that somebody would claim him. So I think the Titans, if they see a future in Malik Willis, even if it's as a backup to Will Levis next year, I think they have to keep him on the 53 this year.
Terry, obviously, most of the Titans fan base will be watching this game as opposed to being at Soldier Field. Give me, if there's one player that you really want to look to see how he performs that day, who is it?
There's a guy who was on the practice squad last year, and he was kind of an afterthought, named Reggie Robertson out of SMU. He's back with them this year, and he's gotten the attention of just about everybody out there with the catches he's been making in training camp practices. He's really getting on the same page with Will Levis, who said that the reason for that is because he's in the spot where he's supposed to be and he makes the catch. He's there at the right time. He's also been on the same page when he's worked with Malik Willis. I'm interested to see if this kid can make it translate over into a game, because if he can and he can prove to do some special teams work, he could jump ahead of a guy like Racy McMath or Colton Dowell in the fight for that last roster spot, 6 wide receiver.
Terry, great stuff. Thank you for getting the show off and rolling, and appreciate your flexibility.
All right. Have a good one, George.
Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland and her team at USA Mortgage. She wants to be your mortgage lender. Give her a holler at 615-969-4350. So, Billy, this is sort of new territory at Middle. They have decided to have a media day, and there are a bunch of different outlets out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I get exactly what the deal is. They're trying to get some of the Nashville media here, and it's not nearly as easy as it used to be.
No, it's not, but it's a brilliant idea. I mean, and I'm surprised more schools and programs don't do this, even at a higher level, right? I mean, I haven't really heard about any other schools doing this. I'm sure they have a media day, but centered around, radio and TV content like this. This is awesome.
It really is. It's the brainchild of Mark Owens. I'm going to try and get him over here, but I don't think it's going to happen. He's running around like a chicken with his head cut off.
Sure
but
is.
He and I have had some fun in recent days about it. There will be an interview that we run at 3:00 today that all of you are going to want to hear with MTSU Athletic Director Chris Massaro. We taped it yesterday, and I asked all of the, conference realignment stuff. And it's really a very interesting interview.
Mm-hmm.
If you care about college football, you're going to want to hear this.
Yeah, Massaro is awesome. He's one of the more funny interviews. He's always gonna, get a joke in there. But yeah, that was awesome to get his perspective. And so stay tuned for that. But George, we want to get an update in here.
Well, yeah, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Apparently, Greg Sankey feels sadness in the realignment and says the SEC is comfortable in their footprint. I don't know if he was told to say that, but I don't know if I buy that.
Well, first of all, and look, I may be off base with this, but he started all this.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people will say, well, George, if you were in the same position and Texas and OU were available, would you do it? And the answer is probably, but I would sure have thought a lot more about the chaos that it would cause in the college football world. So his whole sadness thing, for me, it's a little hollow.
Yeah, he says, I take responsibility where we've made moves, but there was something different last week about the questions around the existence of the Pac-12 conference, given its long and storied history. Of course, with Washington and Oregon announcing their intent to join the Big Ten. So, but I mean, George, it is. You feel bad for them, but it's also that's where college is moving, right? College sports is moving.
It clearly is moving
and fast.
Yeah, I mean, at rocket speed, and I think that may be what's got so many people kind of befuddled is the Colorado move. Dion and the Buffaloes, when they made the move to the Big 12, I mean, let's say it, all hell broke loose.
Yeah, that combined with Texas and OU and the SEC, I just think it was going to keep snowballing no matter what happened.
Yeah.
So obviously we'll keep track of that. Also, Stanford head coach Troy Taylor came out and said that he can't imagine anything other than Power 5 football for Stanford. Of course, there's been the rumblings and the rumors about a potential move to the Mountain West or maybe even out of Power 5. But George, he said, I think the players that committed to us and came here, they want to play Power 5 football, and that is what our intention is with this university. I can't imagine anything else. But for Stanford, he's got a big job because they've got to get it back going after the last couple of years of David Shaw.
This has put him and the Oregon State coach in a real pickle because their players are going to him going, Coach, what does all this mean? And the truth of it is he doesn't have the answers.
No.
Because his athletic director doesn't have the answers. The ACC does not yet have the answers. And there's probably somebody in some analytics department at Stanford trying to figure out, okay, ACC, what will this mean for volleyball? What will this mean for softball? Are we really prepared to travel God only knows how many miles? I keep saying it. They better have a good deal with Southwest Airlines. God. Not going anywhere.
USC to Rutgers. That's the best part about it for me. But no, George, Stanford in Northwestern is another school that I think
they've got other problems.
They've got other problems.
They got other stuff to worry about.
But Troy Taylor and a lot of those other Pac-12 coaches that are kind of sitting in limbo right now, have the toughest jobs. We always talk about that.
You got one more because then Rick Stockstill is going to join us at 2:20, so we got to move quick.
Nolensville Little League headed to the Little League World Series for the third straight year, which is awesome. I mean, that's hard to do 3 straight years in a World Series.
Wonder what kind of audience that draws. How many people in Nashville watch it when it's on TV? I don't have the answer. I'm sure there is an answer.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But George, that's always a fun story and an event to watch, especially when you got Tennessee in it every year. So, congrats to them.
Okay, so how about I get out of the way for a second, and we just sort of show people what's in the background because there is a lot of construction going on. Let's show the football stadium if we can. And notice that there is construction going on there, and they are about to make a big move with their football offices effective 2025. We'll talk with Rick Stockstill about that. When we come back, there I am. The picture looks better when I'm not in it. Stay tuned.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
As a lot of you know, our show is now more than a year old, and that's a great testimony to some of the viewership that we have had from you all. So a big thank you right there. If you're new to all of this and you're wondering, how do we see the show? Here's some of the ways. Of course, you can watch it live 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. And the three biggest ways are Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Now, if you're working or can't watch the show live, you know what? All this stuff is archived in podcast form through 2 different ways. Apple, Spotify, that's the way you do it. You can go Apple Podcast or Spotify, and you're probably sitting there saying, George, you don't know what any of these mean. Well, I'm learning. I can at least spit it out now. Hope that you will continue to enjoy our show, because as football season revs up, we've got some great things planned. Thanks for being with us.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over.
We are back here in Murfreesboro. You can see the Blue Raiders football stadium behind us, and there are some changes going on there. This, of course, is head football coach Rick Stockstill. This is a media day event that Mark Owens has put together that was a brilliant idea, and it gives me the chance not only to talk MTSU football, but a little bit of baseball with a fellow baseball fan. I love it.
Yes, sir.
I love it. So tell the story. What'd you do yesterday?
Well, I had to speak at the Optimist Club here in town, and on the way back, there's a card shop, and then I said, so on my way back, I pulled in there to see if they had the 2023 complete Topps baseball set yet, because when I went in there this summer, they didn't have it. So I bought they had it. I bought my complete set there, and which I've done. Now I have the last 50 years of Topps complete sets, 1974 to 2023, along with thousands and thousands of miscellaneous cards from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. That I'm an avid baseball. I had no telling how much money I put in my bicycle spoke, putting those cards in there when I was a little kid. But I've always loved baseball, still love baseball, and I love collecting baseball cards.
So this is none of my business, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is that if you sold that thing, is it big money?
I don't think so. That's what Sarah, my wife, so if anybody out there wants to buy them, she'll sell them, give them to you
without you knowing it.
So she wants them out of that closet. So no, I mean there's a lot of good cards in there, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know how to go about selling them. I wish somebody would come and say, "Here, I'm going to take them off your hands."
I don't believe that.
I do, because I always said I wanted to get to 50 years of complete sets, and I did that yesterday.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much longer I'm going to keep doing it.
The one of the coolest things that ever happened for me in radio, Gaylord Perry used to come into Lebanon, Tennessee. There was a medical center that he would come in for, and he would come on our show. And the first time I met him, I said, Gaylord, I know more about you than you do. And he was like, how? And I said, 3WE in Cleveland. I've listened to you and Pete Franklin. Well, that warmed him up. Later, he brought Harmon Killebrew. He brought Phil Necro. He brought Brooks Robinson one time. You talk about being in hog heaven. I was in hog heaven.
That was my mom. I mean, she grew up, Cincinnati Red fan. I remember her going to bed every night, listening to a little transistor radio, listening to Joe Nuxall and, those guys.
Marty Brenneman.
Talking on the bench.
This is the old left-hander rounding third and heading for home. Good night, everybody.
And the most important thing in baseball, he'd always say, the most important thing in baseball is to get home safe. So get home safe traveling.
So actually, the reason we brought you over here was not baseball. 18 years at Middle now. This is year number 18. When you took this job, did you ever envision remotely this?
No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody, takes a job thinking they're going to be there, for a certain period of time. And I've just always, in every job I've ever had is just, do the best I can, where my feet are. And I've tried to give these players and this program and this university my best effort every day and continue to still do that. So I love it here. I love our players. I love our staff. I love our administration. I love this community. And, it's been, I've been very fortunate, to be able to raise my family here and especially in this coaching profession, where it is. So, but no, I don't think anybody ever starts out thinking they're going to be here for a certain amount of time.
You can look around in the broadcast world. It's changed dramatically.
Yeah.
And, I'm kind of an old goat in this thing. And the willingness to change is not always easy. And then I look at your profession, and in the last 2 or 3 years, my goodness, was there a day where you woke up and said, if I'm going to be relevant, I'm going to have to change X?
I don't know. It's because I think I've done a really good job of, changing over the years. Not, probably being the head coach, in the beginning as an assistant or 20 years ago, you just banged on guys all the time. I mean, it was hitting, and the NCAA has done a great job of limiting and telling us what you can and can't do. But I think I've gotten better over the years in understanding, guys' bodies and what they can handle, what they can't handle, and the rest and everything that they need to give them the best chance to be successful on Saturday. So probably have changed as much in that area as I have schematically, and I think we've always done a good job, schematically of trying to build your team around your talent. We try to recruit to, what you want to be offensively and defensively, but that doesn't always happen. And, so I think we've done a good job of adapting our philosophies to our players' abilities.
So given the fact that this is certainly not your first rodeo being a head coach, is not like this is year one. In year 18, do you know yet what your team is and what level of good they're going to be?
No, I've never. You feel good about certain positions, George, going in that, hey, he did this last year or this group did this last year, and you got most of them back. So there's years that you can say that you feel good about a position, but as a team, I've never really felt that until they get into the season and when adversity hits, how they're going to respond. And last year we got beat in the first game, and I felt great about the team on Sunday because I saw how they responded. And then we rattle off 3 straight. You beat Miami and all that, and then we lost 3 straight. And, after 3 games, after those 3, I still felt really good about our team because how they were approaching each day of practice, how they were talking to each other, how they were working and all that. So I really, and then we ended up winning whatever it was, 4 or 5 there in the bowl game. So I've never been able to really put my thumb on it and say, this is what we're going to be until adversity hits, if that makes sense.
So the win at Miami, for those who don't know it, Rick was a quarterback at Florida State, so I suspect it was doubly sweet. As that plane was going to Miami, were you convinced that everybody on that flight knew you could win?
Yeah, I don't think, because our players, when we talked during the week, and I said, Ray Lewis and Mike, them dudes ain't coming out that smoke, So, man, they're good players, but you ain't going against Hall of Fame, NFL.
Bernie Kosar is not coming through that.
So we went down there with some confidence, and when you play those games, you gotta play really well. You can't give them anything, and just they kicked off to us, and we took the drive down there. We didn't get any points out of it, but we got 2 or 3 first downs, and we moved the ball, and we came off, and the offense you could see a little bit of juice. Hey, man, we can move the ball on these guys. And then the first play, we get an interception, and we go in and kick a field goal. And then the next play, we get a pick 6. And then the next play, a couple plays later, they fumble. And, it was on then. And, the juice and the confidence and the momentum was really, really at a high level.
Billy, I've left the quarterback stuff for you.
Well, Coach, I was going to ask one more thing about that Miami game. Was that extra special for you, or was that just another win?
No, it was not. It was special, one, because you beat a top 25 team, and then I didn't realize it, because I never thought Florida State. I mean, you hear it all week, but I never thought much about it till the post game, and I said some things that out of character for me that I probably shouldn't have said. But part of it was I wanted our team to know how proud I was of them. And part of it was, the Florida State stuff coming out of me that, that rivalry there. And then coming back, just how many Florida State people, emails, texts, calls coming out of they played our game during pregame warmups at the Florida State, whoever they were playing, North Carolina State,
that, yeah.
Which was that got pretty cool, and I didn't know that till after the fact. One of their coaches called and told me that we were all watching.
Do you
it on
have
the big
any
screen.
film footage
I
of
wish
it?
I did. No.
Coach, tell us about your quarterback. What are the expectations this year? Obviously, had a big performance in that Bahamas Bowl.
Yeah, I like Nick, and Nick's a very selfless person, giving up his redshirt year in 21 when Chase went down. He played 5 games, so he lost his redshirt year. I told him last year, compete for the job. If you beat out Chase, you'll be the quarterback. If not, I'll try to get your redshirt year back. And Chase went down, missed a game or 2, and Nick came in and played those games, and we ended up getting his redshirt year back. So even though he hasn't been the guy opening day, he's played 6-7 games, so we've got a really good feel of what he can and can't do, what his strengths and weaknesses are. But I love him. He's a special person. I think he'll have a great year. I think he'll be a great player in this conference. He's really improved as a leader, and I'm fired up about Nick. I think the world of that kid.
Coach, Conference USA has gotten incredibly competitive.
Completely different, too.
Yeah, obviously very different. I mean, every conference has changed a lot, but how have you seen that conference grow, and how have you seen it help your program develop and maybe attract even more recruits than you had?
Yeah, it's different, obviously, this year with the teams that we've lost the last 2 years, and then bringing in 4 new teams this year. So it's different. Normally, you have a pretty good idea what teams are going to be, but having 4 teams in your conference who you've never played, you're just going off summer study. And so I don't think we'll get a good feel for, what these guys are until we start watching them play. But I think from helping our program and our conference, that noise going on behind you over there is going to have as big impact as anything, this new facility, than these new teams coming in.
So I've got a wish for you. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
I want you to get invited to the Pinstripe Bowl.
I said
it. At Yankee Stadium. So I guess the tradition is that the winning coach gets to throw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium the next year. And David Cutcliffe got to do that.
He's my hero.
Listening to his story about being in hog heaven.
So I'm a Yankee fan. We finally got it out of the cellar last night. The Red Sox lost and we won. So we're next to last place now by half a game. So I love the Yankees. I grew up Mickey Mantle. I was number 7 in everything. I love the Yankees. And, one of the bowls that we could go to is the Fenway Park Bowl. And that would be the next closest thing. But
have you been to Fenway?
No, Fenway and Wrigley are my two that I want to go to before they tear them down.
You've got to do it. I've been to Fenway twice. And look, both of them are right there and stuff that you and I would appreciate. You got to get to Fenway.
Yeah.
We'll get you to
let's go to Pinstripe. Tell David, since he's done it, he ought to have a chance. He can an honorary throw out the first pitch guy, and I'll be his honorary guy.
What about they got the Mayo Bowl too, where you get dumped in mayo? I think
Look here, I've
never
been to a bad bowl. I love them. I'll go to anyone they want us. They can pour mayonnaise on me all they want.
He's told the truth.
Hawaii, Bahamas. Those are some attractive spots right there.
You've been to Hawaii
and Bahamas twice.
Twice.
Yeah. So we've been very fortunate. Conference USA does have great bowl destinations. If we could add that Pinstripe Bowl in, that'd be awesome.
And I've offered to hold the cord, that he walks in Bahamas.
You get us to the Pinstripe Bowl, and then, heck, you can do whatever you want.
Let's do it. Hey, thank you for coming over here. I know they've got you in the car wash, but this was great.
Yeah, I love it. Appreciate you, George. Thank you, man.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate you.
Coach Rick Stockstill joining us. After the break, Rick Insell will join us by phone. They've got a big announcement later today at a press conference in Huntsville. We will talk about that with him when we come back.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
We are back here in Murfreesboro. Mark Owens, the fine SID here, has created a media day where there are a bunch of different outlets out here, and this has been incredibly cool already. Our next guest has been a friend, 20, 25 years. Billy, I don't know that you've ever heard this story, but Rick Insell, and I've always used this term, was basically the John Wooden of high school basketball on the women's side in the state of Tennessee. Won a ton of state titles at Shelbyville and was a legend in that business. And I will never forget, as long as I live, a phone call that he put into me where he told me, I want the MTSU job. It had just come open. And gosh, we must have spent an hour on the phone. And the more I listened, I mean, you could feel the passion in one of those old flip phones that I used to have. And so I can't wait to hear, as we bring him up, his memory of that phone call. Rick, how in the world are you?
Just lost Rick.
Okay.
We'll get him back here.
We'll get him back here in a minute. It was an incredible conversation, and I'm hoping that we can get him on here in just a second. And
retrieving Rick back currently.
Yeah. And so a tad bit of a four-corner stall, but what a great idea this is that Mark has put together. And you'll hear an interview.
And, George, Coach Stock mentioned the players. The players are excited about this. I think we've lost sight of that as not we, but the nation around college sports. It's about the players, right? Obviously, the fans.
It still is.
Are important. It's still about the players. So this is a great day for the players as well. And I think we've got Rick.
Okay. Rick, I had this great lady.
Never mind.
Don't have him. Okay, we're going to try it again here in just a minute. As all of you know, he's gone on to a terrific college career. They're going to make an announcement later today, and if we get Rick on, we're going to talk to him about it. They're going to play the University of Tennessee in Huntsville on December the 6th, and I want to say that's a Tuesday, although I can't swear to it. Might be a Wednesday. I don't have a calendar. Actually, I do have. It's probably not very good television, but folks, this is a calendar. So that is Wednesday. They'll play neutral site in Huntsville, and that's a pretty big deal. And I know he's traveling down there for the press conference, and so phone reception may be a little bit goofy.
Yeah, just texted him to see if he's good to come on. So we'll see.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a fun kind of show, and when you hear the interview at 3:00 at the top of the hour with Chris Massaro, we get into all of the stuff of Group of Five and the fight that they're in right now to try to stay alive and stay relevant. And if you're a college football fan, you're going to want to hear it. Rick Insell is with us. Rick, I had this great intro for you about the phone call you made to me, gosh, right at 20 years ago when you told me you wanted this MTSU job. You remember that phone call?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember it very well. Very well. You were one of the first people I called.
You know, I was telling before you came on, I could feel the passion even in that pathetic flip phone I had. And back then, everybody had the flip phone. But, man, there was an excitement level in your voice. You could feel it in the phone.
Well, I've always felt like the Middle Tennessee was a great job. I mean, really, because the women's basketball in the state of Tennessee has always been looked upon basically on the same level as men's basketball and even football. You didn't, because of basketball, a lot of your rural areas was played there, and every night you going in, there's a packed gym. And you know what Shelbyville was like. So, I felt like we could do the same thing in Middle Tennessee, and it's come true.
By the way, I didn't tell the story about the pep talk you gave me while I was being sued, and I have a feeling you remember that as well.
I do. We spent we didn't watch the football game.
We saw none of the football.
No, didn't see it, and I didn't know you were going to be there that night. And I don't think you knew I was going to be there either. And we kind of walked into each other and went in our office. The next thing you know, you're headed back to Nashville because
Well, you gave me a pep talk I'll never forget, and it was a huge help at the time. So we know about what's going on in Huntsville today and the press conference to announce this. This is really cool. I've got to think you're excited about this.
Well, George, back when Pat was still living, one of the first things that I did was with Dr. McPhee and Chris was when we went through the interview process with, hey, I can get Tennessee on the schedule. And they both said, really? And of course, all we had to do was call Pat. And of course, in those days, you didn't have a home and home. You had to play Tennessee 2 or 3 times, then they'd come and see you. Well, I didn't have to do that because Pat and me were such close friends. And when she passed away, Holly took over, and eventually, it's a situation. The school like Tennessee, they're playing the Stanfords and the Notre Dames and the Ohio States and those people, and their schedules are made 2 or 3 years down the road. So it was a situation where we kind of fell off the map there with them. And now that Kelly is taking over,
oh, I hate this. I think we've lost him, which is really a shame.
Yeah, not getting him right now.
Oh, that is a shame. And we knew this was a possibility based on where he was going to travel.
they're coming back to Murphy Center the following year back up there. So it's a win-win situation for women's basketball, because one of the things that Kelly's tried to do, and I've been doing it since I've been at Middle, is grow the women's game of basketball in the state of Tennessee. And in doing this, I feel like that's going to be.
Rick, I know where the signal, based on where you're traveling, is bouncing in and out. But for a younger audience out there that really did not experience the greatness of Pat Summitt, what can you tell people? Because you were as close to her as anybody, and I think we lost him again. Hey, we have tried hard on this, and I hate that we haven't been able to pull it off completely. Because we
just lost him.
They had a really close relationship. Billy, I can tell you this, it drove her crazy when I would have her on and refer to her as the John Wooden of women's college basketball. It drove her crazy. And I can remember one time we were face to face and she said, "Quit saying that." And I said, "Why? It's true."
I would have loved to sit down and just have a chance to interview her.
She was pretty amazing. She was very close with somebody I was very close with, the late great Rick Regan. They were very close. They had gone to UT Martin together, and so that was sort of the opening where I really got to know her. An amazing human being.
Special thing about her, she was a true Tennessean to the core.
Oh my goodness!
And I think that's what made her so special. And I wish we could have heard a little bit more about her and her relationship with Rick, but maybe we'll get him a little bit later.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to try it again, do. I'll stall around. By the way, we've got somebody at practice wearing a Braves hat. Obviously, I really like that. So here is okay. Maybe this is going to happen.
Hey.
Okay, Rick, we're going to try this one more time.
We got some bars now on our phones, so we're pulling in up here and stopping.
We got bars.
Beautiful. That's what we need. Hey, I was about to ask you, there's a younger audience that really does not know the things that you knew about Pat Summitt and her greatness. Kind of talk to that young audience about why she was as great as she was.
Well, I first met Pat when I first started at Shelbyville. I started there in 77. I think she started at Tennessee in 75. And we ran into each other at a coaching clinic. I didn't know her and she didn't know me. And then at that coaching clinic, her being the head coach at Tennessee, women's basketball was not that big then. I mean, you're talking about right out of intramural basketball in the early 70s into now playing big-time basketball, and then really not big-time, but her coaching the team and probably coaching the team for a little or nothing. And so we kind of run into each other, and she being from Ashland City and Cheatham County, and myself being from Woodbury and Cannon County, we were two rural. We had come from both rural backgrounds, and so we hit it off right away. We knew what herding cattle was and hauling hay and all that kind of stuff. I'd done that, and she had done that. Now I'm coaching on the high school level. She's coaching at Tennessee, but Tennessee was not like it is right now. So we hit it right off, and then all the way through her building Tennessee into a powerhouse, and us at Shelbyville having the success that we had, we kind of ran hand in hand with each other. And I would talk to her, and she would talk to me, and even in some cases that. I remember at one night she had gotten beat at Vanderbilt, maybe had a close game, and I was there at the game. And on the way home, this is when cell phones first came out. Really, you were carrying something like one of those wind-up phones, basically. She called. I'm in the bed, and I get a call about, 11:30, 12 o'clock that night. And she hadn't gotten back, and she was ranting and raving to me about the game. What did I see, or this and that? I'm thinking, why are you asking me? You're Pat Summitt. I was at the game, but I can't give you no advice on what's going on with your team because I don't even, I'm just a little high school coach. But she never looked at any of the coaches around the state or really around the country as little old high school coaches. She looked at those coaches, even though as successful as she was, she looked at them on the same level that she was. And I think that's what a lot of the coaches that knew her on the high school level and even the collegiate level, Pat never put herself above anybody. I'll tell you this. There was a birthday party. We're both recruiting down in Augusta, Georgia. And I'm sitting in this restaurant, and she comes in and sits down beside me and said, "Hey, you're going with me tonight." And I said, "Where are we going?" "You're my date." And I said, because her and Deb were close. And my wife, Deb, and her were very close. "You're my date tonight. Let's go. We're going to a birthday party." And she hadn't been invited to a birthday party of several coaches, and she just comes in. I hadn't even ate. And she says, "Hey, let's go." And I just told the waitress, I said, "Put it on my room, and I won't be back." And I didn't. I didn't get back till late. But, when we walked in, Pat was just one of the boys. You know what I mean? Everybody was there, but it wasn't like here, Pat Summit, But it was that kind of a relationship. And I've got so many stories that I've kind of kept to myself because she was straight laced. When I say that, she didn't recruit anybody illegal. You could bet that when Pat Summit recruited you, she recruited you to the University of Tennessee to play basketball, and that was it. Now, how she would handle this name, image, and likeness right now, and how she would handle the portal, I don't know. But I would say that she would stick to her gun to say, "Look, if you want to play ball here and become a lady ball, then you don't need to be worried about name, image, and likeness or anything like that. Let's worry about winning championships."
Billy, you need to hear. Oh, go ahead, Rick. Sorry.
That was what was so unique about her. I remember one time we were riding around, me and her and RB, her husband at that point. This is before she had Tyler and Deb. We're riding around up in Bedford County. And I can't tell you the things that we were doing, but it was pretty unique. And I said something about this kid I got that everybody in the country was recruiting. I won't mention her name. I said, "Well, she lives right over here. You want to run by and see her?" She said, "Oh, no, that would be illegal." I said, "Who's going to know?" And she said, "I'll know."
Wow.
Now, she didn't get that kid either.
Yeah.
And that really told me a lot about her right there, because she could have very easily, and 98% of them probably would have pulled in the driveway. "Hey, this is Pat Summit, this and that," because Tennessee was recruiting this young lady. And but she wouldn't do it. She said, "No, I'll know, you'll know, and that's all that matters." And so that told me so much about her that night, because she's going to do it the right way.
Billy Derrick is here, and he needs to hear this story. Billy, there was a Thursday night that I got to spend with Rick Insell, who I dubbed by the end of the evening the mayor of Shelbyville. He invited me as his guest to the walking horse celebration. Okay, I didn't know the first thing about it other than it was in Shelbyville. But I'm telling you, every human being should be invited to be Rick's guest. He knew everybody. It was the most amazing night. And obviously, 20 years later, I haven't forgotten it. How about that?
That's pretty cool. I don't know much about that either. I'd love to go with Rick too.
Let me tell you what. He truly, at that point, was the mayor of Shelbyville, and thank goodness for whoever the mayor was. He didn't run for office. Rick, you remember that night?
I do. We had a ball. I mean, everybody, what a lot of people don't know, that at the celebration, you got a private club. It's called the Blue River Room. And George and me did spend some time in there that night.
We did.
I'll leave it at that.
We ran for political office. How about that?
But we did see a horse show too. We saw a great horse show.
No, you worked it out where I gave out a medal And I was like, what in the world am I doing? I had no idea, but it was great.
You did a good job. You did a good job. And, that's good old days, George. Good old days,
Those were great times. Rick, do well at the press conference. Congratulations on getting that done. I told Chris Massaro yesterday we will try to do our show down there the day of that game.
That'll be good. Hey, and Matt, my son Matt, which is the associate head coach, he's one that was able to work that out. Him and Chris, because him and Chris are closer to age than me and Chris. But he was able to get with John Harper and Kelly. And of course, Kelly, played AAU basketball for me. I don't know if you knew that or not, but she was one of my point guards. She spent a lot of time at my house growing up. Her dad and me were close friends, and so he'd bring her down and leave her for the weekend along with Paige Redmond, which was I had the point guard for Vanderbilt and the point guard for Tennessee staying at my house in the summer.
I love it. Hey, I actually have to go to a commercial. They make me go to commercials every once in a while. Your boss is coming up after the break. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, always, George. You know that.
It's great talking to you. He is the legendary MTSU basketball coach, Rick Insell. Take a look, if you've never done it, at what he accomplished before college at Shelbyville. It's unbelievable. It's truly a John Wooden kind of resume. We're back with Stat of the Day and then an interview you're all going to want to hear with Chris Massaro. Stay tuned.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards, in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
We are back at Middle Tennessee State University for their football practice today. Little media day going on. Great stuff. We got plenty of interviews to go around today with the Blue Raiders, of course, with Chris Massaro, their athletic director, coming up. But first, stat of the day.
Yeah, the one negative coming is stat of the day.
Brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville. You can find them at 204 East Depot Street. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday, from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. All right, George, let's see what we've got from Butch. We are 17 days away from week 0 of college football. What two teams played in the first ever Rose Bowl in 1902?
Oh, good Lord. Well, first of all, I'm not convinced that the answer will be Big Ten versus Pac-2.
That's what I was going to say. For all we know, these could be two Ivy League teams.
I don't think it is, and so I'm going to give you a wild one. Alabama, Georgia Tech.
Alabama, Georgia Tech? Okay.
Yep.
Michigan and Stanford.
Oh, my goodness.
So it was two Big Ten and
Wow.
Pac-12. I guess it was the Pac-8
back then.
at that point,
probably.
and then the big,
probably.
I guess Big Ten. I don't know.
Okay, so you see
Michigan
that picture
won 49-0.
of the Rose Bowl right there?
Yep.
I got to go to the Rose Bowl a year out of college. I was it was part of a promotion. I was working at WSM Radio at the time, and they did this contest where there were like 8 winners that got to go to this thing, and I was part of it. And the game that I went to was UCLA, Michigan. This would have been 1982. We were at the very top of the end zone. The Rose Bowl is one of the most unique stadiums. First of all, it's every bit as beautiful as people think it is on TV. You know, you just got that look to it that virtually no other football stadium's got.
That golden hour.
At the time, it held right at 102,000. They've scaled it back to about 95,000. But the way they've got it shaped at the top of the stadium does not feel high at all.
Right.
I mean, it's not like
a Neyland Stadium where you're looking down, straight down. You're looking across.
And so it was an incredible experience. I got to go to the Rose Bowl parade earlier that day, which was kind of must, that's a bucket lister.
Yeah.
And going to a Rose Bowl for me was a bucket list.
The Rose Bowl is one of those places where you hear everybody talk about it, how special it is, but you really don't, you can't talk about it in that way unless you really go, and realize it. So I would love to maybe win a Rose Bowl contest.
It played host to, I think, the best college football game that we have seen in the last 20 years. The Vince Young comeback against USC. Southern Cal was going for their 3rd straight national title. I think this was either 05 or 06, and Pete Carroll was USC's coach. And there's a point in the game where USC's got it under control and a very controversial 4th and 2. And I think it was former Titan Lindale White that got the ball, and he never had a chance. And from that moment on, when Texas got that stop, the momentum totally changed. I believe it's the best college football game that we've had in the last 20 years.
That's what you always. Another thing you always hear. I wasn't old enough to remember watching that game, but I mean that clip of Vince Young running in there. That's a lot of people's answers of best college football game I've ever watched.
I think it was also Keith Jackson's final game at ABC.
Oh,
because he was truly the voice of college football.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're legal now, correct? 3:00 hour. We welcome all of you in. If you're just joining us, in the background is MTSU's football stadium, which is undergoing some renovation right now that is going to include a huge football facility and coach's office that will open in 2025. The athletic director at MTSU is Chris Massaro, and yesterday we taped what is sort of the State of the Union of Group 5. All of you who care about college football, you need to see this interview.
Oh, now we're ready to go. Chris, let's start with the important stuff here. When you have a bad day, who is it that you reach out to for guidance and for understanding?
I try to listen to the George Plaster show, and then it's just like it's just clairvoyant, and all things are right. All the answers are coming through. Everything's good, but it depends on what the problem is, George. I think we all have our networks, and so I'm lucky to have a great family, so they get a lot of the bounce.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm looking for. I want to see what's in that office.
You want this? This is the guy I talk to, and he is.
He looks bleached out.
He sits in my window.
Yeah.
Here at the office, so he is a little bleached out.
Yeah, he looks.
It's just this little sunscreen.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting older, George, so you got to take care of that skin a little bit better.
Thank you.
And so George, and I got it's a little bit of an autograph there, but it's not authentic.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so I've got
Billy.
one of these bobblehead dolls. I don't know. I guess that's
okay.
That shows
Checks
how
in
old
the mail.
that is.
Yes.
Here, let me do it this way. There, just got the name on the back of it. So there you go.
Oh my God, that was one.
But yeah, this is my. Some people have an 8-ball and stuff. This is with all the conference realignment and the NIL and the transfer portal and all this stuff. This is my top advisor.
So the truth of it is, this media day that MTSU has put on, a brilliant idea by Mark Owens. Tell me you have given him a raise.
Mark, and I tease him a lot, but I am so lucky to have Mark at MTSU. He's one of the best sports information people in the country, and media relations and all of those kind of things. So what Mark's done is invited a lot of the media to practice and to really set it up and provide an outlet for us to be heard in Nashville. And so we're excited about it. And that's tomorrow morning, and to showcase. And George, I'm really excited about this football team. There's a real good vibe. Sometimes you can feel it, and it's one of those that you can feel.
So what's going on around the country, and
Right.
You knew before we did this exactly where I was going to start out. How disappointed are you that the group of 5 are being left in what I call kind of roadkill, where nobody in the Power 5 gives 2 hoots about you?
Well, and I just think that, and I've said it all along, that there's going to be a great consolidation, and I think that's what you're seeing now. And it's not over with, so it's not just us. I mean, I've got good friends that are ADs at both Oregon State and at Washington State, George, and those guys' world got turned upside down this week, and so Tradition's gone out the window. The whole camaraderie thing. Like I remember when I first got to be AD here at Middle Tennessee, and I'm having a conversation with Lee Fowler, and Lee says, "Hey, at that time there's only 120 FBS programs," and he says, "Chris, you're one of 120 ADs. We're kind of like the U.S. Senate. We're a select group of people, and don't." He says, "We don't hang each other out to dry. We try to operate together for the collective good, and so there was that code that existed for a long time, and I inherited that code, and that code is gone, and it's sad that we don't talk about education. The national championship seems to be the top television dollar, and that's not what you're in it for. You're in it to win the trophies and provide educational experiences and those kind of things. And that gets lost because the biggest checkbook doesn't always necessarily win the trophy.
So you and I both go back a long ways.
We do.
And we were part of an SEC, you at South Carolina, me involved with Vandy, where I want to believe there were people back then who would have stood up and said, hold on, before we make this move, we need to understand not only the positives, but the negatives that are going to come out of it.
Well,
Does such a person exist anymore?
I'm not sure. I think Greg Sankey tries to be a guardian of the game, and he's come up through the system just like you and I have. So there's a few people out there, but the marketplace is really, it's a little bit unrelenting. So I'm trying to be fair, but I've always felt like we have, like I'm Middle Tennessee's athletic director, and I put 100% of my efforts to try to make us better. But I also think there's a higher authority there that I have to be a guardian of the games. I'm entrusted to these wonderful enterprises, whether it's college football, college basketball, women's soccer, women's softball. I mean, these are great enterprises, and some of the Olympic sports that spawn Olympians across the country. And we're supposed to be guardians of that and ultimately do what's good for the sport. And sometimes that requires a little bit of sacrifice, whether it's institutional sacrifice or individual sacrifice. And I think we've seen that go away, and people are making decisions on what's best for their conference or for themselves and those kind of things, and not necessarily being a guardian of college football. And it takes everybody to be the guardian, because once there's a crack in that alignment, then the water just gushes through and cracks it wide open. And I think that's what we're seeing now.
So, you brought up a minute ago, we're not the only ones dealing with this, but for the purposes of where I'm sitting, you're the one that's the closest to where I am. You all haven't exactly been chopped liver since you got there. You had a basketball program that beat Michigan State in the NCAA tournament, had me screaming and yelling in between commercial breaks as I was watching that. You've had football teams that have beaten ACC teams, have beaten Big Ten teams. You haven't just beaten Cuba and Weber State. You've had some real accomplishments. I mean, this has to be personally kind of a bitter pill because you're not chopped liver.
No, we're not. And what I think this consolidation will continue. And I've always said, I think our best bet, if this continues on, and I think that if you see this consolidation of that 40 schools or 50 schools, when they all get said and done, and the Big Ten maybe looks around and consolidates, and the SEC might look around and consolidate, when all that happens, the idea would be for me to be in that second cut of schools. And I think that's where our ultimate goal could be. and we're not going to out Ohio State, and we're not going to out Alabama, and those kind of things. We can take our shots and be competitive, but they've got advantages that we are 100 years away from. So, but I think we can get into that second cut of schools, whether that's some of the schools that we're seeing that, or you're reading about the maybe the back half of the Big Ten and the back half of the Big 12 and those kind of things. When those guys get consolidated down, we need to have our program high enough to be in that group. And that's why we're building our facilities. That's why we're full speed ahead on this stuff, because I think our future is really good. The current environment nationally makes it a little bit tougher in some ways, but we still have location. We have economic growth in our area. We should pop a champagne cork every time high school opens up its new doors. And we've got $100 million of facilities that are financed and ready to go, and are starting to. We're starting construction on all of those. So we add all those elements together, and I really think the next 10 years is going to be a really great 10 years.
When you attempt to make that move, to help me with it, you called it the second
cut, a second tier.
cut.
Like
Okay.
if you read like what now, if you read, there's a lot of theories out there that the Big Ten and the SEC will consolidate, and it'll look a lot like the NFL. And you got Fox on one side and you got ESPN on the other side. Well, at some point, particularly if the pay-per-view and the direct-to-consumer starts happening more and more, and Apple becomes more of a player in the future, then those individual games are going to be important. So some members of the Big Ten don't have the same market value as other members of the Big Ten. And we're seeing Florida State talk about that openly right now, and how unhappy they are in the ACC and some of their colleagues that might not have as much market value as they do. So you're seeing that, and I think that's going to occur. And so let's say half the ACC gets shifted aside, then those are great schools. Those are great schools to be associated with. And I think that'll be the true college enterprise. And then we can kind of relate back to our educational core and just get back to what I think it should be, and let the big boys do their thing. And we all love those games, and it's fun, but let them, they're playing that's just a different deal. And so that to me is where we can certainly go.
Is the Nashville TV market a big piece of Middle getting to what you've called the second cut, or is it really not that big a factor?
Yeah, I think it's a factor. I mean, it's 27th now, I believe, is its its ranking. So sure, it's a factor. I think that $1 billion improvement into the airport is a big factor, because travel is so convenient and those kind of things, and just the growth and the vitality of Nashville is a huge factor. So all those things are really great factors. And like I said, that's something that others can't emulate, is our location. And Central Florida was able to kind of make a move primarily they combined their location, their population growth, and facilities, and they were very aggressive. And so they were able to make that move. And I see a lot of moves. I see a lot of similarities to us, them. You can talk about how Louisville evolved over time, and those kind of things. So we can certainly do that here. Cincinnati's another one that kind of evolved. So there are some examples out there of people that have evolved and kind of got hot at the right time too. That's the other thing, is they got hot at the right time.
Yeah. So right now, this is the kind of stuff that comes up. Is there a group of 5 leader, maybe not a commissioner, but a leader who's trying to get the 10 or 15 most important people in group of 5 together to say, hey, we can't just sit here and do nothing. We've got to start constructing a plan. Are we going to have our own national football playoff? And if we do, are the TV networks willing to give us enough money to make it worth our while? Is any of that going on?
Not really, and the system is really difficult for that to do. Number one, you're spread out geographically. Number two, the commissioners have a lot of that kind of power, and there's a lot of dialogue from commissioner to commissioner. But George, you brought up a point that I want to emphasize, is that we fought hard to be part of the college football playoff. And right now that there's 6 slots that automatically go to the champions, and so the idea is the 5 autonomy 5 would get those slots, and then 1 out of the best group of 5, and they would be in the college football playoff. And that's all we wanted was access, and so as long as we have that access, I think we're in good shape. What I think could happen is that, the Big Ten with those kind of numbers and membership, and the SEC with those kind of numbers and membership, those could change. But I think what we really need to make sure is that there is a slot for one of our champions that gets the automatic bid, and then everything else is kind of merit-based. But I think that history's shown us that some of these teams can compete from year to year in the national playoff. Last year, Tulane beat Southern Cal in a great game in the Sugar Bowl. In the Cotton Bowl. And so Cincinnati made the playoffs the year before and played. I'm trying to remember who they played. I guess it was it Alabama? What's that?
It was Alabama.
Yeah, and they played them as well as anybody, as in the final. So to me, that's the big thing. I'm not in favor of us going off and doing our own little championship. I think it could be it still needs to be national. We still have a seat at the table. We need to still be in that CFP discussion. And what will be interesting with all this new dynamic of realignment, where those bids go. And one of the things that I'm wondering about is, like, from a Florida State and Clemson perspective, they have a better chance to build their brand by staying in the ACC, getting that bid, getting into the playoff, getting in a 2 or 3 game tournament, and building their brand that way. And that's where I said, like, we're chasing the wrong trophy. We're chasing the money trophy. And that's the trophy that people really want. So in a lot of ways, I could argue that their access is going to be a lot easier to navigate out of the ACC. If you join the SEC, you get into that grinder, and who knows?
Yeah.
If you're going to make a 12-team playoff, even if the SEC gets 4 or 5 teams in, man, that's going to be hard. I mean, that's going to be hard for those schools. I think that there's an argument to be made to take your chances out of the ACC and where you are.
Chris, let's do this. I want to go to the break, and then here's a novel concept. Let's actually talk a little MTSU.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I know it's a shock, but stay tuned. We'll have more with MTSU Athletic Director Chris Massaro. Stay tuned. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over.
So, Chris, I looked at your schedule, and at Alabama and at Missouri, did you tell your football coach this ahead of time?
I remember when it happened. We're on?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember when it happened, George, and we did have that discussion, and Missouri was disappointing because they were supposed to be a home game for us last year, and they chose not to come to Murfreesboro and buy their way out of that game and schedule a home game for themselves. So that was kind of our trade-off is, we'll take the first two shots on the road against Missouri and Alabama, but the year before, at least we get Missouri at home. And so that didn't happen. We just got the check instead. But you know what? Let's go. Our players love that game. And I just remember that helped Kevin Byard's draft status the last time we played Alabama, that he had a great game, had an interception, and showed that he belonged on the field with Alabama. So our players know that they're excited for it. They're ready to play. And so we'll see what happens those first two games. And then we come back for our home opener against Murray. And I think that's then we're ready to roll.
Is scheduling, you have been an athletic director who has been at the forefront of Group of Five being able to pull off things. BYU, Maryland, Virginia, Minnesota. I know I'm not listing them all. Mississippi State. There's a bunch of them.
Right.
You had more success at that than anybody. Is that day and time out the window?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult now because the money that we were talking about in the last segment, that those teams don't have to go on the road, that they can just buy their games at home, buy their way out of contracts, those kind of things. So there's not as much incentive to go out there and play those kind of games. So that is it's a lot harder to do. We've got Duke coming up on a 2-game series here in the future. I think that's the last Autonomy 5 school that we have. And then also I kind of want to lighten our schedule a little bit too, because those games are great when you have them at home. But then what happens is how we open this segment is that you got to go play them on the road. And that's not as good a guarantee game sometimes. So then you got to go get a guarantee game on top of that. So you end up with two teams like that, two Autonomy 5 teams in the schedule. And then that becomes really hard because if you don't split, on that, or if you don't win them both, I mean, if you go 0 for 2, then it'd be 10-game season. And that's hard to put your football program in that kind of circumstance. So I'm doing less emphasis on those games and more on we've got some Mountain West opponents and those kind of games that I think are fun. I mean, I think our fans are excited for Colorado State. We've got a home and home with Nevada, so that's a nice trip for our fans too, to go out to Reno for the weekend and watch a little football. And so I think I think there's other ways to skin that cat and to maybe get some victories as well.
I have thought for a while that coaches are not having as much fun as they used to between transfer portal and NIL. And I think I'm right about that. On the AD front, is it as fun as it used to be?
Yeah, there are elements still, George. I mean, you always have problems, so you're changing your problems a little bit. And one AD said, it's like when I go to bed tonight, I'm sleeping on 15 dormant volcanoes, not knowing which one will erupt at what time. And so that's sort of the feeling sometimes. So what the NIL and the transfer portal, it's just added a couple more volcanoes that can erupt at you, and so I think it's still fun that we try to stay basic here. We try to take care of our student athletes. We try to graduate our student athletes. We do a phenomenal job there. We treat them right. We try to be as competitive as anybody, win some games, and that's the fun stuff. And so as long as you don't stray too far from the mission and get embroiled too far into the world of Wall Street, I think that you can retreat and still have a lot of fun.
I've always said, and now that I'm one of the elder statesmen, which just means I'm old, I do tell people, listen, I got to spend virtually my entire life in athletics, toy department of life.
Yeah.
How much better can it be? It sounds like you've kind of taken that same attitude.
It's something we've dreamed of, I mean, as a young boy growing up in Colorado, I mean, just to be on the sidelines at the University of Alabama, I mean, what a thrill that is, and to be in some of the great cathedrals and to be part of this great enterprise. It's fun, and last year when we beat Miami and their top 25 team, and just that feeling, man, you just can't get that feeling anywhere else. And so I love the locker room feeling. That I guess I'm an adrenaline junkie because I love it, and the winning locker room is so much fun. And there's something sadistic about the losing locker room too, because, you learn a lot and you try to, the team coming together and those kind of things. And is that a bump in the road? How do we react to that? But you feel alive when you go home. You might not feel great, but you feel alive. And so those are kind of the reasons I'm in it. I love those feelings. And then when you watch somebody that you don't think has a chance to graduate, and how earning a degree at Middle Tennessee State University has changed their lives. I mean, that's such a powerful feeling. How could you not have fun doing that and being around young people? Young people today are better than they were when I was young. I mean, they're more sophisticated, they're smarter, they're more ambitious. They're just fun to be around. And so we all have to keep it in perspective, and so when I'm having a bad day, I do consult him, but I also go to our student athletes and go watch a practice or something.
Got a lot better shot on B than A.
Yeah. Is it still fun? Sort of. He's kind of nodding his head both ways.
Listen, you need to get that thing out in the sun.
Yeah, George, you do have that
it's
little
a little bleached out.
Yeah, it's like you're wearing a lot of sunscreen there.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like I had a position of prominence in the
it looks like there's a little more hair there too.
Thank you.
There's a little more hair on here. If you lower your head, I don't know what if there's something there or not.
Thanks
George.
Thanks a bunch there,
Yeah,
Whitey.
man, it was fun. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank
Love
you. Thank you for coming on with us, and thank you for creating what I think, well, I'm pretty certain is going to become a tradition, and that is this football media day
And
Great stuff.
That's Mark Owens, and I'm so lucky to have such a great staff to help a guy like me kind of navigate my way around. So it's good. It's all good, man.
You take care. We'll talk.
All right.
soon.
See you, pal. Love you.
A good friend, a good man in this business. MTSU Athletic Director Chris Massaro joining us after the break. Plaster bet of the day. Let's see if the streak continues.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
And we're back. Final segment from MTSU Football Media Day. Might have a special guest coming up here for this segment.
World Traveler.
World Traveler. But first, let's get Plaster's bet of the day out of the way.
Yeah.
And Kelly's not here to
that's even better
to rip you
for this one. Yeah.
It's brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, George, let's check out what happened last night.
It was a disaster.
First, the Brewers lost.
Oh, they got.
What happened to the Brew Crew?
Well, it was 3-3 in the 9th, and they went to the 10th, and there was an explosion. And it was not good for the Brew Crew.
No. 12-5.
Yeah, and you know, the sad thing, and Chip and I are going to talk. Chip Walters is MTSU's play-by-play voice, and he has worked with Kelly numerous times. And
is Kelly the same with other people as he is with us?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Don't we need to be official though and give Chip what we're
tonight.
Yeah,
I forgot about tonight.
Yeah. The Dodgers at Arizona. They have taken care of business a couple of nights in a row, and I think they're going to make it a third, and then we're going to go to 13-5.
It's different without Kelly here to sort of poo-poo it.
So let's get a little dirt. The first time you met Kelly, was he on your butt the way he was with me the first time?
No, because he was a player and actually had a little more respect for people at that point. So
imagine that.
What a novel concept.
But, as time goes on,
things have gotten worse.
The bark has grown. But I tell you, Kelly was with me for, gosh, I'm trying to think, 8 years, 5 years, whatever it was. But it's all a blur now. But
felt like 20.
we had great times together, and his son Jameson got to a playing age, and he did what a dad should do at that point, and was with Jameson, but still, going back to his playing days, I remember watching his Lincoln County team play, and then when he came here to Middle, he was just an outstanding leader, a terrific quarterback, and won a lot of games here, won a ton of games here, but I still remember, trips to going to play Florida State, going to play Hawaii, going on that national stage, and it was a lot of fun. So and he obviously did well. I actually had a chance to go see him play in the NFL when he was with Cleveland, and got to go up there. Middle was playing Akron on Saturday, and I hung around. Went to Cleveland was there, and so that was cool to get to see that and get to see him play at the highest level.
So you've been to Cleveland, and I'm sorry for
you
that.
And I professionally, you and I were my first professional broadcast trip of note, and that was to Hawaii.
Yes.
And that would have been in the fall of 1986.
Gosh,
believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I'll give you, this was to Hawaii for the Maui Invitational that Vandy ended up winning. It was the
Will Purdue's coming out party
for sure. And Luke Longley, who ended up being a teammate of his later, played against, because he was with New Mexico,
right?
And
wow.
that was there. They I'm trying to think who else they beat.
Okay,
they beat
Missouri,
VCU, Missouri, and New Mexico,
and
right?
The big deal was Missouri had a kid, 7'1" Gary Leonard, who got all the pub, and Will showed him that night who Daddy was, and that was sort of Will's coming out party. I'd love to tell you that Chip and I were in coat and tie. We were in Hawaiian jam shorts.
Correct.
Oh my! I would love to see that
including
picture.
Bob Horner, our engineer.
And I still have the picture in the garage. So, World Traveler, where are you going next week?
Well, one thing first, and I want to make sure Billy understands this. Of all the things he mentioned, jam shorts.
What are those anyway?
They're just kind of like surf shorts, kind of, but they're all flowery and all this kind of stuff. But the thing that George remembered the most about going to Hawaii
was playing hoops.
Well, that the NFL games on Sunday kicked off at 8 a.m. Hawaii time. That was his big memory of that. But no, I've got a trip. Our men's basketball team is going to Italy for a foreign tour. They leave Monday, and I'm going to go with them and be a tourist. Don't have to work, so I'm going to go enjoy that. We're going to be in Rome, Florence, and Milan. We already have locked-in times to go to the Colosseum, the Vatican, the Gallery Accademia, which is where the Statue of David is in Florence, and we will. We're also have a cruise on Lake Como. We're gonna stop by and see George Clooney because he lives on Lake Como, and we're actually playing a game while we're in Milan that will be the actual site of the game. The venue is in Switzerland, which is only like 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
30, so we get to click off there. Now, the real interesting thing, if we can pull this off, is Giddy Potts. You remember Giddy?
Yeah, I heard you talking about it earlier.
Giddy plays professionally in Milan, and we're trying to make sure that he is back in town because a lot of the pro players are on their way back from the U.S. or wherever they're coming from over there. So we may get to see Giddy while we're over there. That would be really cool.
And if you get to see him, you'll be giddy.
That's right.
Yeah.
I will be giddy to see Giddy.
The best name.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Not just middle
Yeah.
history, but
Yeah.
I mean, maybe all.
He was a part of the Michigan State win.
Yeah, he was.
So Chip was calling it. I'm back at the studio. We're on the air.
So that was
and-
during the day.
It was the
it
was the after
2:30.
It was the 2:30 CBS game.
Yeah, I remember I had just gotten out of baseball practice
Yeah.
and found out Middle had beaten Michigan State.
and we're watching this thing and we're kind of reporting on it, and we go to a break at one point, and I am just screaming, because this is, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, I
So-
know a lot of Middle people, and they were really, really proud of that win.
I've been lucky. I was a freshman in college and was at the game the night Middle beat Kentucky.
So was I.
Yeah, and that was at Vanderbilt in the Mid-East Regional. And then to be able, many years later, call the win over Michigan State to be part of the two biggest wins in school history.
That's awesome.
Has been really nice.
Leave you with this.
Yes.
First of all, we're going to try next week to get Chip on after he's met with the Pope. They have
We're keeping it on the down low.
Yeah, but we're definitely going to get into that. Every time I come here to the left, we can't see it, is Murphy Center.
Right.
And there have been some amazing moments in that building. And for me, I was a college student and I was a stringer for, I think it was CBS Radio.
Reuters.
the Greek network. No, I think it was CBS, and I was getting paid as a college student. And on a Sunday afternoon, the matchup was Lamar with Billy Tubbs as their head coach versus Michigan State with a guy named Irvin Magic Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And game 2 was Tennessee and Notre Dame. Notre Dame had
Bill
Kelly,
Lambier,
Kelly Tripucka. And so years later, I got to meet Magic Johnson and got to do an interview with him when I was doing the Sunday night thing for Fox 17. And I said, first of all, I said, I was there that day. And he was like, really? He goes, tell me, what did you think? And I said, well, Jan Van Bredikoff was the other person that I had seen that had some of Magic's ability as a 6'9" point guard. And I said, what do you remember of that day? And you know what he told me?
What?
He said, that orange is ugly. That's not me, folks. That was Magic Johnson.
Well, Murphy Center in December celebrated the actual 50th anniversary of the first event that was ever played there, which was...
Hold on. Don't say it.
Yeah.
Billy, tell us what it was.
Was it a concert?
No, it was not a concert. It was a basketball game. Who were the participants? Middle's won.
Middle.
And?
Vandy?
Correct. And how many were you down here the night that there were so
Middle
many?
and Vandy was the first event at the Murphy Center?
Yes. And Vandy won the game, but Lee Fowler was part of that group, and he organized a bunch of his teammates from that team. the night we had the big 50th anniversary celebration, there were a ton of all of Middle's team that was here, that played that night was here, and most of Vanderbilt's team. Ray Maddox, all those guys, they were all here, and it made for a terrific night. But one of the things for folks, if they get a chance and haven't done it, up around the track level, which everybody knows the track level at Murphy Center, on the back of those bleachers, there's a timeline that goes from 1972 to now with key events that happened throughout, which includes 5 performances by Elvis Presley in that building.
That's what I didn't realize about the Murphy Center.
There are two people.
Hold on, I didn't reckon.
There are 2 people who've played 5 shows in Murphy Center.
Okay, was Billy Joel one of them?
No,
because I saw Billy Joel here in '83 or '84.
Here twice.
Yeah.
It's Garth Brooks and Elvis Presley are the 2 people who've played 5 shows at Murphy Center.
Elvis did shows. I did not know that.
Yeah, he did 2 shows one year, 3 shows the other, or back vice versa in 72 and 73, or 73 and 74.
Wow.
But there's actually a live album you can find that was recorded at Murphy Center. But I mean, the people I've seen there: Bruce Springsteen, Elton John, Billy Joel. I
didn't know that. My dad had told me about that.
One of the greatest shows was probably the most fun show I ever saw in there was Lionel Richie and the Pointer Sisters together. Olivia Newton-John, during her physical tour, I'm telling you, she was doing all her hits, goes off for a wardrobe change. All of a sudden the band starts cranking up the intro to Let's Get Physical. Here she comes. She pops out in her dolphin running shorts and a middle sweatshirt, and the
place went nuts.
The roof just about came off the building. It was, I mean, U2 has played there.
Yeah.
Boston, you name it all. Everybody who's
it's more than a feeling.
Oh yeah, it is more. It's all the feelings.
Right.
So,
by the way, this is not the place where we say it just means more.
That's right.
But you think about it, back then there was not a downtown arena.
That's right.
That was the obvious place. So Murphy Center
got all the shows.
Really got all the shows.
The Municipal Auditorium was the closest thing to it. And but here we are as we sit here, and you can see in the background construction going on at Floyd Stadium. There's going to be a big renovation that will be part of Murphy Center as part of this $100 million Bill Blue construction project. So I mean, it's gonna change the way you go into the building, but it's not going to change the way that it looks from your seats. It's going to be something really special, and a lot of things going on. And I'm telling you, it is a joy to come over and hear construction noise. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
appreciate you guys being down here today.
Thanks, Chip.
This has been awesome.
It.
Thank you for coming on with us. Safe travels. Look forward to talking to you next week.
All right, good deal. Thanks.
Billy, I think we have.
I think we've just about wrapped it up.
We've covered the gamut today.
I think we have.
Again, to Mark Owens. Mark, dip in here for just a second. Let them see you. This is the guy that put this together. Nice hat. I don't guess we can. Where'd you get the hat?
I think our golf pro, actually my son, when he played golf here, he doesn't really like them, so he gave it to me. And I get a lot of people ask me about this hat, so maybe I need to get into the business of selling them or something.
You and Nick Saban. Hey, congratulations. What an awesome idea. Thanks for including us.
Well, it's been great, and I really appreciate y'all being here. I do think it was a really good day, and hopefully we'll do it again.
We will do it again a year from now.
Yep, that'd be great.
Thanks to all of you for being with us, for all the guests that were on here today. It was awesome. We'll be back in our studio at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue tomorrow. Danny Evans will join us, and that means somewhere in there might be a little Braves talk. See ya.